But we begin here this morning. Congress has until midnight to pass a spending bill to avert a government shutdown, and there could be a new vote at any moment. Last night, lawmakers failed to pass a revamp proposal that was backed by both Donald Trump and Elon Musk. More than 30 Republicans voted against it, including Texas Congressman Chip Roy, whom President-elect Trump, threatened to primary earlier in the day. Listen to this.
I am absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible.
CBS News political reporter Zach Hudak is joining me now from Capitol Hill for some analysis. All right, Zach, as you know, 14 hours left to get a deal done. It's hard to see how Democrats are going to come to the rescue of Republicans. And let's not forget those 30-plus Republicans who voted against this bill. Even though Trump and Musk are trying to frame this as a Democratic problem, they had already agreed to a bipartisan deal that I suspect the president-elect would have also agreed to in the weeks previous.
Vlad, that's exactly right. There are a couple of things that could happen today. What we're hearing is currently a strategy that Speaker Johnson might deploy is to try breaking up the vote into what we'd call titles, which would be like voting on each individual portion of the bill. So you could vote on a continuing resolution, but then separately vote on the debt limit. The outcome of that, though, would likely be that the continuing resolution portion is passed and the debt limit is not, which obviously, as we've seen over the last 24 hours, would make the incoming president very unhappy. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is that we have a very, very short limit continuing resolution to just kick this down into right after the holidays. And finally, something that is also a distinct possibility is that we do reach shutdown this evening when we hit midnight going into tomorrow. It seems that the president-elect is not entirely opposed to that. He seems to see it as something that may happen no matter what. And why not get it out of the way while Joe Biden is still president? Meanwhile, Speaker Johnson, he is someone who's looking at, not long ago, his predecessor, Kevin McCarthy, being removed over similar issues. So he's very worried about maintaining his control. And if it's a matter of, do we go to shutdown or do I make deals that are going to lead to me being ousted from my leadership position in the new year, that's going to be a tough decision for him. So all of those somewhat dangerous options are on the table here.
Zach, while you were speaking, we just showed some pictures of some prominent Democrats, including Jamie Raskin and Jerry Nadler, in the halls of Congress. I'm told that they are waiting to see with bated breath what Speaker Johnson proposes. There's Jamie Raskin. Is this live, guys? This is tape. All right. So the question, of course, I watched Trey Gowdy on Fox News, as you know, Zach, former Republican congressman, rail against his own party, specifically against Mike Johnson, saying, you know, to the extent, I'm paraphrasing here, but they must really miss Kevin McCarthy now because there was a guy who knew how to whip votes. What is Speaker Johnson trying to do to get this party in line?
Well, Vlad, I say all the time that right now in Washington, the hardest job is Speaker of the House because you have razor-tight margins, you have a Republican Party that is fractured in many ways within itself, and you have the president-elect who is also the de facto leader of the party, but calling for things that go against what are traditional Republican ideals.
Yeah. Zach, it's an excellent point that you're making there, and I suspect that this is going to be a very difficult challenge for Speaker Mike Johnson, given that there are some Republicans, like Chip Roy, as you know, Zach, who are never going to vote to raise the debt ceiling unless they have some specifics on that. Zach Hudak for us at the Capitol. We appreciate it, Zach, as always, my friend. Thank you very much. Let's get more analysis from political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns, who's in West Palm Beach, Florida. She's covering the president-elect. And we can talk a little bit about, Caitlin, why President-elect Trump chose to come out against this resolution when presumably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in the days leading up to this resolution, he would have been in contact with the Republicans, specifically Mike Johnson and others, and presumably would have given the green light to move ahead. It was only when Elon Musk started to tweet, and there were some like 100 tweets in the span of just a couple of hours coming out against this, that the president-elect changed his tune. Now he's saying this is going to make America great again. What's the reaction you're hearing this morning from the former president, soon-to-be president again, about where we are?
Yeah, Vlad, if you've seen a picture of Donald Trump since the election, chances are that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is also in that picture. He has been at his side as much as he can over the past 6 weeks since Trump was elected because of this, right? Because he's going to be the top ally in leadership. And so what you saw the other day was essentially Elon Musk taking up all the oxygen, sending out 100 tweets or posts on his platform X, urging lawmakers against this bill. And it was interesting because Democrats picked up on that as well and started to try to kind of needle Trump on that, saying, look, who's in charge here? Is Elon Musk holding all the cards here? And so what's happening now is you had the president-elect endorse this resolution that they came up with yesterday, that they voted on yesterday. But there were Republicans in that conference who weren't swayed by either Musk or by Trump himself because they don't like continuing resolutions in the first place, and they also don't like the idea of postponing or lifting the debt ceiling at any point without major spending cuts. So that's been the sticking issue for not only Speaker Johnson, but speakers who have come before him. This is a long-standing part of this conference among the more conservative members that predates Trump. They just don't like these kinds of things. And so that's why Johnson had to cut a deal with Democrats in the first place. And so, depending on what happens here, you could be kind of back at square one where you're going to need some support for Democrats for anything. Because remember, next year, the margins in the House that Republicans have, even though they'll control it, is even slimmer. And Donald Trump has picked a couple of House members as part of his cabinet, so that will create some vacancies as well. Politically speaking, the Trump team is arguing that Biden owns this shutdown because if it happens, because he is the president still.
Yeah, but Caitlin, and somebody should tell the president-elect he won the election. President Biden is still president of the United States, but he's a lame duck. No one is going to think in the waning days of his presidency that this is a Biden issue. And also, it doesn't hurt Biden politically because he's out of politics, presumably, after President-elect Trump is sworn in. So I don't understand why the president would say that this is going to hang on the current president of the United States, number one. And number two, the reality is he's trying to get this debt limit increase. There are some Republicans, as you say, who are fiscally conservative, who are never going to raise that debt limit. And yet, part of what got Donald Trump elected again as president was all these promises that he made, which are going to cost money. So he needs that debt ceiling raised.
Yeah, and it also costs money to shut the government down. And so for an incoming administration that was, a campaign waged on the economy, that remains an open question. But here's kind of how both camps are thinking about this. Democrats, as you mentioned, are saying, look, we had a deal. That was the deal that Biden endorsed. And this was blown up by Musk and Trump. And so that's kind of where they believe that they stand politically. And talking to Republicans, they don't believe that they will necessarily bear the brunt politically if the government shuts down, because if you look at past shutdowns, the government shut down during Trump's administration. It shut down in the early 90s when Newt Gingrich, he put a tweet out about this, led a government shutdown, and then Republicans gained seats. So they're kind of banking on the idea that politically the next election is 2 years from now, that people won't really remember this, and that they, in their view, will remember that Biden was president if they assign any blame at all. But that's just the politics at play here. Good reminder, though, when the government shuts down, this affects so many people, and we're right before the holidays, holiday travel, people missing paychecks. This has a bigger implication beyond just the politics.
Just a good reminder to our audience that the last time this Congress, the United States Congress, passed a balanced budget was way back in 1997. I think there are people in the studio who were still in grade school when that last happened. Interesting. Caitlin, as always, my friend, thank you very much. Good talking to you.
Thank you.